Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everybody to our February community night. Inshallah, sisters who are upstairs that would like to join us on the first floor, we have chairs set up, inshallah. We do have babysitting as well, and inshallah, refreshments afterwards. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us this month to have the opportunity to host Shaykh Dr. Waleed Basyouni. MashaAllah, he gave a very beautiful and inspiring khutbah today. Inshallah, the title of today's program will be Parents, the Middle Gate of Jannah. Shaykh Waleed, he's one of the founding fathers of Al Maghrib Institute. He teaches Al Maghrib classes all around the world, MashaAllah. And so alhamdulillah, we are very, very fortunate to have him here with us today. And he's also one of the head scholars with MJA Council. So inshallah, we will begin with Dr. Shaykh Waleed Basyouni.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. It is my pleasure and honor to be with you here tonight. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make whatever we're going to say in our skill on the day of judgment and make it for us, not against us. The middle gate of Jannah, parents. I didn't make up that title. I chose it, but I didn't make it. This phrase, the middle gate of Jannah, awsatu abwab al-Jannah, is something the Prophet ﷺ himself said in Sunan Abi Dawood, قال الوالد أوسط أبواب الجنة. Parents, and another narration, father, is the middle gate of Jannah. Yani, Al-Jannah has many gates, and one of them is, as you know, every gate is named after one of the good deeds, one after salah, sadaqah, and so forth. There is one specifically for those who are good to their parents. And the middle in Arabic language, awsat, it means al-wasat huwa al-khiyar. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا يعني جَعَلْنَاكُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةً. Wasat, it means middle. It doesn't mean only to be central in the middle. No, it means also the best. Because always the best position is to be in the central thing. You see both sides. So that's what it means, is the best gate in Jannah. So the best gate to enter Jannah from, the gate that will lead you to the best things in Jannah, will be through being good to your parents. Uthman radiyallahu anhu, Ibn Affan, and Al-Harithah ibn Nu'man, two of the Prophet ﷺ companions. تقول عائشة رضي الله عنها, I never seen anyone among the companions of Rasulullah ﷺ so good to their mother like these two. What these two used to do. Uthman radiallahu anh said, I never ever stared at my mother's eyes or look at her with a look of frustration or anger or intimidation since I became Muslim. And he never had eye-to-eye that challenge with her since I became Muslim. Whenever she talks to me, I always lower my gaze. I look down out of respect. يقول حارثة, as for Harithah ibn Nu'man, يقول كان يطعم أمه بيده. He used to feed his mother with his hand. Would not let her he feed her. And he said, I never ask her to repeat what she says twice. قال ما سألتها قط في حياتي أن تعيد ما قالت. I just wish sometimes, people hear that. How many times you have to say it, for him or her to get it. He said, I never ask her, never. Sometimes she would say things I wouldn't even know exactly what she wants. And I would be quiet until she, wait. Then I will ask my sister, what exactly did she say? كان ابن سيرين يكلم أمه كما يكلم الأمير والملك. It was said about Imam Ibn Sirin rahimahullah, when he speaks to his mother, you think that this man is speaking to the king or president. You know how when you talk to somebody can imagine you go to the governor or the president, you will speak in a very respectful way. You will watch carefully what you say. Al-Qasim, one of the students of Imam Malik rahimahullah. Can you imagine this? He was sitting in Masjid Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam teaching. And all of a sudden, he stood up like this. Then he sat. تعجب الطلاب. The students said, what happened? Why did you stood up like that for? Then they noticed, later on he told them, that I noticed my mother, she was standing behind the crowd looking at me. And I found it improper for me to be sitting in a chair while my mother is standing. قال ما رضيت أن أكون جالسا وأمي واقفة. قيل لعمرو بن ذر, how's your son to you after he became old? How he's treating you? He said, I had a wonderful son. I don't know how to describe him to you. Every time he walks with me in the daytime, قال مشى خلفي. He walks behind me. Why would he walk behind him? Out of usually when you walk behind someone, show that you respect that person and you honor him. ولا بالليل إلا مشى أمامي. And when we walk in the night, he always in front of me. Why would he walk in front of him in the night, do you think? Huh? Any hazard? There's no light, so there might be hazard, something harmful, so it will hit him first to protect his father. He said, in the night, he will be in front of me. قال ولا رقى سطحا أنا تحته. And I noticed that he never will go on the roof of a room that I am in. He doesn't feel comfortable to be above his father. Even if it's literally like that, it might sound maybe to some of us kind of silly, but it's not. It's just the meaning behind it, how he feels about it. يقول أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه قال لمحمد بن سيرين, he said, we visited Abu Hurairah one day. فقال أبو هريرة اللهم اغفر لأبي هريرة ولأمي ولمن استغفر لهما. Abu Hurairah said, Ya Allah, I ask you to forgive Abu Hurairah and his mother and whoever asked forgiveness for both of them. Ibn Sirin said, since then, every time I say, Allahumma ghafir li Abi Hurairah wa ummih, may Allah forgive Abu Hurairah and his mother. Because when you say that, what happened? You receive the dua of Abu Hurairah. So if you want me to tell you a way to get Abu Hurairah's dua, you say, oh Allah, forgive Abu Hurairah and his mother. And the point was he wanted to include his mother in the dua so she will get all this dua. Speaking of dua to parents, there is a narration I read when I was maybe in high school. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah said, قال مات أبي, my father passed away or passed on. قال فجلست عاما كاملا لا أدعو لأحد في سجودي إلا له. For a whole entire year, in the sujood, in my salah, I pray for no one except my father. I said to myself at that time, if a time come and I witness the death of my father, and my father passed away before me, I will make sure to do the same. And when my father passed away, rahimahullah, I committed to make that commitment. Like I only make dua in my sujood for my father, for no one else. I'm telling you, it's very hard. It sounds like, okay, but it's so hard that every salah, every sujood, you only make dua for your father. For him to say that, that's really a commitment. That's really a commitment. Muawiyah ibn Qurrah once was asked, how's your son to you? قال نعم الابن ابني. I have the best son. قال كفاني أمر دنياي وفرغني لأمر آخرتي. He's taking care of all of my affairs, so I'm focusing only on my akhirah, on my next life. I don't need to worry about anything in this life. Jazahullahu khairan. These examples represent what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in a very general term when He said, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. إحسان هذا فيه تنكير للتعميم والتعظيم. Allah prescribed upon you that you only worship Him and to be good to your parents. The word good is indefinite, which it means all kind of goodness you should offer. All kind of goodness you should do. Anything what is considered good, you should do to your parents. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically mentioned the case when parents attain an old age. إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما وقل لهما قولا كريما. If they attain, both of them or one of them in old age, don't say to any one of them uff. Uff, it means literally Yani, to show any form of frustration, even if in the form of just blowing air or like rolling eyes. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. Don't ever be mean to them or say mean things to them. Only say to them the best of speech. يعني إيش؟ قُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. الكريم معناه إيش؟ كريم معناه أفضل الشيء. ذو العرش الكريم يعني أفضل العروش. ذق إنك أنت العزيز الكريم في النار لكفار قريش. ليس لأنه generous، لا، لأنه كان يعتقد أنه أفضل الناس. الكريم معناه أفضل الناس، أو الكريم معناها الذي كملت صفاته. So Al-Kareem, which it means usually translate to generous, actually no. Al-Kareem, it means the one who possesses perfect, qualities. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, say what is Kareem, say what is perfect. Not to say to them what is good and nice, what is perfect. So this is an order. This is not just recommended, this is a command from God on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. And tonight, I want to make my talk not just stories and, a reminder, but I want to have also practical points. We're living in a time and an age where unfortunately things lost its values. And among the things that is losing its values, the concept of parents and walidayn and being good to them and what that really means. Especially as kids grow older, they don't see much reason for having this kind of, talk that many people who raise maybe in other culture, it's so embedded it in their hearts and mind, parents, like something like so valuable. We're going sometimes into the opposite direction here as we see the young generation. But I don't think it's something that we blame the young generation for it only. I think we as adults as well hold responsibility. And we as community and as society, we need to re-emphasize and talk more about the parents and the right of the parents and what it means to be good and dutiful to your parents. And here are some practical tips and points I want to share with you tonight. Number one, I believe one of the most important things for me with my children, and I advise everybody to think about it this way, is that I always tell my children, you being good to me and to your mother, it's just not because I am your parent, we are your parents. You're doing this first and foremost for Allah. That's an act of worship. That's an order from Allah to you. It's not me, it's not something personal I gain from it. It's like when you go to pray 5 times, Allah order you to pray, Allah ordering you to treat your parents good. And we have always to make it not personal. It's a religious duty upon you. If you really love Allah, if you really believe in Allah, if you really respect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command, and Allah has value in your heart and your mind, it is the outcome of that is to be good to your parents. Why I'm saying this is so important? Because many reasons. Number one, sometimes your parents are so hard to please and so difficult and unreasonable and mean, and they did things to you you don't like. Parents are not any perfect. When you do it for Allah, all this doesn't matter. Because I'm not doing for them. I'm not doing for them because they are nice. It's not like they've been nice to me and I'm nice to them. No, I'm doing it for Allah. So that's a very important, reason why I always connect this to the concept of religion, or basically as a religious duty. Because of this, you would never say, oof. Because if you look at it, just take the religion out of the equation, you say, so what if you show frustration? It's not a big deal, culturally, But if you put the religion part of it, and you deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you do it as an act of worship, you do it perfectly. No matter how many times they ask you, no matter how many commands, no matter how many things that you feel it's burden on you, but I'm doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for them. At that point you will understand why Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu ardah said, "Man nadara ila abah shazaran faqad aqqa." If you just give that angry look at your father, that's a form of uquq. And al-uquq, it's a word which it means, it's a sin, which it means being disrespectful to your parents. Sometimes when your parents want something from you, go against what you desire. The only thing that helped me to overcome that is I'm doing it for Allah. It's like, it's my desire to sleep, but I wake up to pray because I do it for Allah. It's my desire to go watch a movie tonight, but I'm come to pray Isha in the masjid. I go against because I want to please my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes parents can ask you to do things that's against your desire. My desire is to travel in this summer. Is to go in the spring break. To go to sleep. I want to play my game. But I know that this is something my parents want. So I will just push myself because I do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu ardah carry his mother on his shoulder and take her around. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, known to be the one who narrated so many ahadith from the Prophet ﷺ. That's right. He always with the Prophet ﷺ. You know that Abu Hurairah never narrated anything about Hajj. He never told us what the Prophet did in Hajj. I asked myself, why Abu Hurairah has nothing, he did not report what happened in the Hajj. And I found out that Abu Hurairah never been to Hajj with the Prophet ﷺ. He actually didn't go to Hajj, which is weird. Why didn't he go to Hajj with the Prophet? What will be more desirable to you than going to Hajj with Muhammad ﷺ? And the reason was, his mother was sick. And she couldn't go to Hajj. So he stayed behind to take care of her. And he missed the opportunity to make Hajj with the Prophet ﷺ. Sometimes it's hard. It goes against your desire. But I'm doing it because I'm doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he used to carry his mother all the way across town. Can you imagine, like, there is a sheikh, for example, your mother tell you, you know what, even though you are a learned person, blah, 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 and I want you to drive me all the way to Chicago, to Sheikh Jamal, for example, because I want to ask him questions. طيب أمي we call him in the phone. She said, no, I don't believe in phones. all the way to كأنك رايح الضفة like traveling good distance, So she used to ask him to take him to the other side of town, and Sheikh ismu Amr ibn Dar. So Abu Hanifa rahimahullah carry her to that old Sheikh. Then she will ask him questions, and he wouldn't know the answer. He's not a mufti or alim or a sheikh. He doesn't know the answer. So he will look to Abu Hanifa, and he said, Ya Abu Hanifa, what's the answer? So I can tell your mother. And he will give him the answer. Then he will tell Abu Hanifa's mother the answer. And that's how it is. Every time. He never told his mom, you know what, I'm sick of this. I just waste, time and gas and driving all the distance. No, he always take her to that sheikh, and the sheikh ask him, and he give him the answer, and the sheikh answered the mother. Never get tired of it. If you do this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the relationship continue even when your son and your daughter feels that they are independent. A lot of kids, stuck basically. You know, they feel I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. I cannot support myself. So I'm stuck in the house. But if you do it for Allah, you're not stuck. You stick with your parents. You always, no matter how big I am, no matter how old I am, I always want to be. I always look at my parents, seek their guidance, and seek their pleasure. Because I do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I saw once a caption, it's very beautiful. One of the brothers posted his son, mashallah, became taller than him like many of us, my children, growing older and taller than us now. So the son posted on his Facebook his picture with his father in Colorado. And the son was taller than the father. The father like almost to the shoulder. Then he wrote underneath of it, he said, Dad, no matter how tall I am, I will always look up to you. No matter how tall I am, I will always look up to you. What motivates someone like that, it's because I know that this is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not doing it because some worldly reward. Even when I'm older, I still have that respect, like what you heard Ibn Sirin and you heard this scholar. كل أحد وصف بأكثر مما يستحق يقولون العلماء إلا حيوة بن شريح. Always when you write a biography of a scholar, there is always overpraising. They said, as for Haywa ibn Shuraih, whatever he was praised with is less than what he deserves. And I just choose one little bit of his life, like one incident كده in his life. كان يدرس في المسجد. He was teaching in the masjid. And all of a sudden his mom came. And she said, قم يا حيوة. حيوة, come here. In front of his students. She said, come here. You didn't feed the chicken today. You forgot. Go feed the chicken. She interrupted the class. And she said, go feed the chicken. He left the class, he went and he fed the chicken and he came back. Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah wrote this story in his book Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, because this was a noble thing down in the history that this man have done this. It recognized as something of a virtue. You only do this when you do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes when we grow older, we don't care. We care about people more than our parents. But you would never care about anyone more than Allah. That's why you always try to please your parents. It was said, don't anger your parents in order to please other people. Those other people did not spend their life building yours. Your parents spend their life building your life. Taking from their life to make sure that your life, to build your life. If you do this for the sake of Allah, you will be always worried that you're doing something considered uquq, considered sin. That something will displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِأَكْبَرِ الْكَبَائِرِ. Would you like to know the greatest sins in Islam? They said, yes. He said, الشرك بالله, that to commit shirk, to worship other than Allah. قِيلَ ثُمَّ مَاذَا? Then what next? قال عقوق الوالدين, to be bad to your parents. رواه البخاري. إن الله حرم عليكم عقوق الأمهات. Allah forbade upon you to be disrespectful, bad to your mothers. النووي رحمه الله said, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خص الأمهات لأن الإنسان إذا كبر قوي عليهم لضعفهن ورحمتهن. Because he mentioned the mother specifically because people sometimes feel that they can challenge their mother or don't, because she's very merciful and nice, so he kind of cross the board when he talks to her. لا يدخل الجنة عاق ولا منان ولا مدمن خمر. Will not enter Jannah, yani right away. Somebody who's bad to his parents. Or mannan, someone who who do good to you, then he will always show you that he did a favor to you. ولا مدمن خمر, and not a person who addicted to alcohol. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, ما من ذنب, there is not a sin, أجدر أن يعجل لصاحبه العقوبة في الدنيا. There is no sin deserve a hastened punishment like عقوق الوالدين, like being bad to your parents. That's a sin that Allah will hasten the punishment of it. يعني Allah will make the punishment for it in this life before the next. لعن الله من لعن والديه. Allah cursed those who he cursed his parents. That's why those who use bad words to their mom, curse them, or say bad thing, disrespectful answers to them, is a sin. It's been said that Ali radiallahu anh said, don't use the sharpness of your tongue on the mother who taught you how to speak. Don't use the sharpness of your tongue on the mother or the parents who taught you how to speak and talk. علمته نظم القوافي كل يوم فلما قال قافيته هجاني. ابن عمر رضي الله عنه قال بكاء الوالدين من العقوق. To make your parents cry, it's a sin. ظبيان ibn Ali said, one time I had an argument with my mother. So she went to bed while she has something in her heart against me. Look at this. This is when you do it for Allah. ظبيان said, I couldn't go to sleep knowing that my mother is not happy with me. It's something scare me. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees it. He said, and I couldn't wake her up because that's not good too. She's sleeping. He said, فَقَضَيْتُ اللَّيْلَ كُلَّهَا. He spent the whole night next to her bed, waiting for her to wake up so I ask for forgiveness from her. Ibn Aoun من أعظم علماء أهل العراق, great scholar of العراق, يقول مرة, one time, my mother called me. So I replied to her with a louder voice, and I considered that a sin that I freed a slave for it. قال يعني رفع كان صوتي أرفع منها في الجواب. Can you imagine to what the gauge of sensitivity is so sensitive? Like they measure anything as a serious issue. Just raising my voice over her voice, I consider it a sin. Why all of this? Yunus ibn Ubayd telling us among the Tabi'een. كانوا يتخوفون على أعماله إذا كان عاقا. Because the scholars in the early generation used to believe that those who are bad to their parents, Allah destroy their deeds. Allah put no blessings in their life, no blessings in their ibadah. So my first, and I spend a quite time in it, because in my opinion this is a very essential point. Make sure that you embed it in your children from the early age that they do this for Allah. Even if they don't understand the concept right now because they're teenager or too young. When you embedded it, put that seed in their heart. As they grow, it will always be there. I'm doing this for Allah. And I love what some scholars said. When Luqman was telling his sons all these advices, Ya bunay, Ya bunay. You remember? My son, my son. When it came to the parents, he didn't tell him, Ya bunay, qada rabbuk. He didn't say, my son, by the way, Allah said, be good to your parents. He didn't say, yeah, my son. My son, my son. Then when it came to the parents, it became Allah. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّا. Allah prescribed. As if Allah the one who ordering you, not me. So you will not take it as something personal. Not because I want it. No, it is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted. Number two, one of the things that I advise you, in order for you to receive your children's bir as you grow older, and we provide this for our parents as we grow older, that we should care about our righteousness and the righteousness of our children. Because these means a lot to those who loves Allah, who fear Allah, who worship Allah, who respect Allah. those who have basically conscious, God conscious, these the one who will think about it this way. Also, I want you to know that the love for the children to parents is the result of the love that you show to your children. Guys, do you know how kids spell love? You know how they spell love? T-I-M-E. That's how your kids spell the word love. T-I-M-E. Time. You can say, I love you as much as you want. You can give them gifts as much as you want. My daughter once told me, I travel a lot, so I care to give gifts to my kids. So my daughter taught me this lesson. She said, Baba, I love your gifts. And I'll make it a little bit more eloquent than her, for her age. She said, I love your presents, but I love your presence more. I love your gifts, but I love your presence more. I love to see you more. Spending time with us is more valuable than the gift that you give. Study shows that some parents, an average American spend 7 minutes with his kids a week? Or 14 minutes, something like that a week. That's crazy. Especially with these days with social media. Even when you're kids, you spend time with the kids or what you spend with them, everybody is like, by the way, gathering around TV, it's not considered time we're spending together. We're spending quality time with the TV, but not with each other or in movie theater. Social media today, there's rules. When we come to dinner, no cell phones. Me or my kids. No games. The problem is, it's become like that. We put a TV monitors in the cars. So even before, when we're in the car, we used to talk with one another. Now we don't. The moment you get in the car, play the movie. Before we talk at dinner at least, now there's nobody. I love what somebody said. He said, and that's another talk for another day, social media successfully connected us to the people who are very far away from us, but equally succeed in isolating us from those who are so close to us. Connected you to somebody in the other part of the world, but the one who next to you, there's no connection. So spending time with the kids is an essential in these issues, in receiving that love and receiving that care. One of the things that I would suggest, make sure that you spend time with them and you ask about them. Wallahi, you will be surprised how much your kids grow very fast and things change. That day my daughter put me in a shame. She said, Baba, that was a long time ago. I thought she still liked purple. She said, no, that was like a phase of my life and done. I'm over that. I don't like purple anymore. Can you imagine? You don't even know what my son likes. What's his favorite cartoon character? What his favorite story is? What's his sports? What kind of position he play? In whatever game he plays. Know nothing about each son. You didn't know what they like. You didn't know what they're struggling with. Then after that, you expect him from to be close to you. What you need to do your homework first. And I would say the same time, in the same breath, to my young brothers and sisters in this hall and listening to me. If your parents not doing that, I know it's hard, but you know what? Also you tell them what you like. Tell them what you are up to these days. Share with them some of your life. And I would say to parents, listen. If you want your kids to listen to you, you have to learn how to listen to them first. There's a good book, it's called Listen to Your Kids so your kids can listen to you. A lot of beautiful points. And sometimes your kids don't speak words. You have to have what we call emotional intelligence. You have to understand, to listen to the messages that your kid's sending it to you. You know, I know you're upset. It looks like you're sad. Also, don't be too nosy. Sometimes kids can hate that, especially teenager in high school or in college. You know, they consider that. But there's like, I don't mean make the so details and like, sometimes can get the opposite the action. But make sure that you encourage them for them to come forward and talk to you. And don't give up. Among the things that is so important for your kids to see from you, in order for them to give you back as you grow older, that you need to learn how to respect your kids. If you want them to respect you, you need to learn how to respect them. شوف يعني سفيان الثوري رحمه الله كان في زمانه كالصديق في زمانه. Sufyan al-Thawri is among the later successors. They said about Sufyan al-Thawri, in his time, people look up to him the same way the companion look up to Abu Bakr. يعني from respect. See, this man is amazing, his life is amazing. يقول سفيان الثوري رأى ابنه سعيد coming. His son Sa'id was coming. Then he told his students, you see this son of mine, Sa'id? He said, yes. قال ما جفوته قط. I never ever got upset on him. I never said anything to him that is like considered like يعني disrespectful or anything like that. قال وإنه لا يدعوني في صلاتي فأقطع صلاتي له. I'll be praying volunteer prayers, and my son tell me, Baba, Dad, Father, I'll break my salah. And I said yes for him, just to show him how much I care. What can you think of more respect than that? One of my teachers, يعني صلى الله عليه يسر أموره الشيخ ناصر العمر. Once I had an iftar with him in Mecca, and that's my first time to meet his father. Wallahi, I couldn't tell who is the father and who's the son. Only the age show me who's the father and who's the son. The way his father respect him, call him sheikh, call him this, is amazing. I was like, this is how you should treat your parents. But his father treated him with so much respect that I was like, wow, this looks like the son treating his father, not the other way around. It means a lot. I graduated from Sharia. The day I graduated or about to graduate, I don't remember my father ever called me Waleed, my own father. He always called me Shaykh Waleed. That's my father. I mean, he can call me whatever he wants. When I finished my PhD and I did it, he never called me just Waleed. He said, Dr. Waleed. At home, Shaykh Waleed, can you take the trash out? But it became part of my, out of respect. But it means a lot to a son. One of the things that's important for you to know, as much as you want to know about what they like, let them know what you like and what you don't like. So when you grow up older, they know what you like. I mean, it's not a guessing game. One of the worst things in family relations is to turn to be a guessing game. And I always advise couples, he told me she should have figured it out herself. No, she should not. Especially in my culture, and then a cultural Arabi, you expecting her to figure it out on her own. Okay, and he should figure it out. No, it's not a guessing game. We're not like trying to guess each other. Just say it. Also, your son, your kids, tell them. So when I was preparing for this lecture, actually, I said, let me ask my kids. I said to my kids, what fruits that I like? Actually, I found out my kids don't know, have no clue. I said, what fruit I don't like? I said, I don't know. And I said, what if I go old tomorrow and I want them, how would they know to get me what I like? And I said, hey, by the way, I don't eat apples. Ew, Baba, you didn't eat apple? Why you forced us to eat apple all these years? You know? So And it was interesting for them to know what their father likes and what he doesn't like, or their mother. One of the things that is so important as well, that we teach our kids upon good etiquettes. And I can't emphasize enough on the issue of al-adab. Al-adab غير al-akhlaq. Moral is one issue. But etiquettes, how to talk, how to basically to meet someone, how to show respect to others. These little etiquettes are so important. And when you teach your kids from early age on respect, he will respect older, especially his parents. And by the way, it is sad that this is something noticeable in community, that they don't show that respect to children. And I give you example. Assalamu alaikum, salam, I give you salam. And when your kids comes, that the kid's lucky even if he gets salam. They just completely ignore it. When I have guests in my house, I make sure that my kids are sitting next to me and sitting in a proper place. And you know what? You host the guest. You don't eat before the guest. You make sure you're good. That's etiquette. And Abi rahimahullah, my father rahimahullah, I would never forget. One day he was mad at me. Za'al alay. Why? Because we had somebody came at home, and when he said, "Is your father home?" I said, "No." My father was upset, and he taught me something I never forget. And until today, I share it with the world. You know what my father told me? He said, "Waleed, when someone comes to your home, before you tell him no, you tell him tfaddal. Then you tell them my father is not here. You welcome them first, then you tell them my father is not here." Like my father friend comes, I said, "Come on in. My father is not here, but you're welcome." Because if he told me he's not here, يعني خلاص, kind of kick him out. But you should always welcome the guests. Today, look at us. When we have guests, your kids, what? We don't care to make them part of it. I know it's hard, but teaching this from the beginning, it is so important. Your daughters, the same thing. Make them part of the conversation. It's not there to serve, not made to clean dishes or to pick food. No, to be part of the conversation, to give them the proper respect. Also, one of the things that's important, when you see your kids do something good to the parents, like the mother see he did something good to the father, or father saw the son or the daughter did something good to the mother. Recognize that, praise that, reinforce that. So many times they do things and we don't recognize it, so it will be forgotten. So one of the practical points, make sure that you always reinforce the good behavior is related to Bir Al Walidayn, let being good to your parents. Don't ever take it lightly any form of uquq al-walidayn, especially when they are young. Like if you have kids who are like 3 or 4 or 5 years old and did something disrespectful, don't let it go unchecked. Make sure that you make a point. He said, "Don't say this. It's not allowed. Hey, don't look at your mother like that. That's not correct. It's haram. Remember, that's not how we talk to parents. Remember, it's much better to say this way. But because if you keep ignoring it, the kids will just adopt it and say, okay, that's just, who cares?" Also, it is important that we teach our children the importance and the value of family. Family comes first. Friends, they don't come first. Family comes first. It's not right that I do my service to the farthest people in my community society, and my own parents and my own brothers and sisters are completely neglected. Praise and encourage them to always be there for their family members. Share with them stories about Bir Al Walidayn. So you encourage them from early age to see this as a role model. Talk to them about the reward of being good to your parents. That it is one of the most rewarding things. أحب الأعمال إلى الله, the most beloved deeds to Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, as Ibn Mas'ud reported, قال الصلاة على وقتها, to pray on time. قال ثم ماذا? Then what? قال بر الوالدين. Then what? قال الجهاد في سبيل الله. جعل بر الوالدين مقدم على الجهاد. يقول عبد الله بن عون النظر إلى الوالدين عبادة. Looking at your parents, a satisfied look, a look that يعني a look of love and compassion and mercy. That's an act of worship. So what do you think of act of service will be? يقول حسن البصري, being good to your parents, nothing equal to it. قال لا حج, not jihad, not sadaqah. More rewarding than all these. وفي سنن أبي داود, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to join and enlist in the army with you. Can you imagine fighting with the Prophet ﷺ to protect Islam? What can be more rewarding than this? And Nabi ﷺ said, you have parents? He said, yes. He said, are they happy with this? He said, no. He said, go back and make them laugh as you left them crying. That's more important than come and fighting with me. Fighting the enemy with me. That's why with Ibn Abbas, a man told him, I want to go enlist in the army to fight the Romans. But my parents said no. He said, listen to your parents. سَتَجِدُ الرُّومَ مَنْ يَغْزُوهَا. Or Roman will find someone else for the army. Al-Hasan al-Basri was asked, if my mother asked me to break my fast, should I do that? He said, yes, and you don't make it up. يعني any volunteer fast. يقول عمر رضي الله عنه وأرضاه. What's the worst sin in Islam? So you can understand what Umar means. After kufr, is killing an innocent person. لا يوجد في الإسلام ذنب أعظم بعد الشرك من القتل. Literally. يقول عمر لو أن رجلا قتل نفسا. If someone commit that big sin, which is he killed an innocent person. ثم كانت أمه حية فبرها لرجوت ألا تطعمه النار. And that person had a mother. He took good care of her. I hope that this deeds will save that person from hellfire. And Ibn Abbas said something similar to this. يقول Ibn Abbas, I never seen anything erase your sins like being good to your parents. To the extent, my brothers and sisters, العلماء يقولون بر الوالدين كفارة الكبائر كما يقول الإمام أحمد. You know, our sins are two categories. Minor and major. The minor sins, okay, are the sins that are forgiven by our good deeds. Yani salah, say assalamu alaikum, donation. This will erase these bad minor sins. Major sins only forgiven when you repent from them. So let's say somebody steal money, somebody lie. This major sin, it will be only erased from your record when you repent to Allah from it. Adultery, gambling. You said, Ya Allah, I ask you to forgive me the sin that I did that day, which is this and those of that. But the minor one, just saying astaghfirullah, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, all these good deeds that we do, it will wipe out without even mentioning them. But the major sin, you have to specifically repent from it. Except one deed will erase the major sin, which is Bir Al Walidayn. And I can add to it also Al-Hajj. One of the things that for us, another point that to keep in mind, don't talk bad about your spouse in front of your kids. If you disrespect your husband, you disrespect your wife in front of your kids, they will grow up disrespecting them. No matter how bad it goes between you, don't fight in front of your kids. Don't treat them bad. Show the respect to each other so your kids can take you as a role model. You have to show your kids that you're also good to your parents. Even after their death, you still talk about them and show respect to them and love for them. A friend, Khalid, he, mashallah, has a son, his name Abdullah, who's about 16 years old at that time. Khalid has a story to be told. Khalid, he was the only one graduated from his whole family from college. He has a single mom. She took care of him and supported him. And he made a promise to his mother that when he graduated and he get a job, he will make sure that he gives 50% of his check to his mother from that job. And subhanAllah, when he got his first paid check, His mother died before he received the first paycheck. She got diagnosed with cancer. She passed away, rahimahullah. But for the next 20 years or so, he said, I literally give 50% of my income sadaqah on behalf of my mother. Consistently. I kept my promise for all these years. And Allah blessed me with so much wealth. Alhamdulillah. So one day, he was going to the masjid, and he said, I found this beautiful water fountain. You know, he's in Arabia, which is a very hot country. So this water fountain was on the street for people to drink cold water, you know, and it's free for everybody. So he looked at it and he said to the mu'adhin of the masjid, it was outside, he said, MashaAllah, that's a very good idea. There's a lot of people who work around here, and that will be very helpful. Then the guy told him, yeah, Jazakallah khair. Yani you made it happen. He said, me? I didn't do it. He said, no, you did it. I didn't know. So they asked. He found out his son Abdullah was 16 years old. For the last year and a half, he'd been saving from his allowance that he takes every week. He's saving money until he was able to purchase it and made it as a waqf on his father's behalf, without the father even knowing. Because he saw his father, how he treated his mother, how he talked about his mother. One of the things that I want to tell you, it's so important as we close down. Don't ever abuse your power as parents. And sometimes you make your kids hate Bir Al Walidayn just because the way you abuse this power. Hey, I'm your parents, you have to respect me, you have to do this, you have to, haram, huh? Allah curse you. And just because of personal gain you want. Please don't make these beautiful things turn out to be something so personal to you so it loses its value in your kids' eyes. One thing I will tell you, make sure that your kids not influenced by bad role models. And unfortunately, role models today are many. If my children grow up listening to a rapper, that his rap and his music, it's about how his mother, she was very bad, and she is this and she's that, and he give his mother bad names, how do you think this will be affected my kids growing up? There is a role the society play. School, masjid, imams, friends, community. We should care about this concept. We should not let it be easy. If I know someone treating his parents bad, I go and give an advice, talk in a nice way. Also, one of the things that I found, a lot of parents, I don't know about you guys, but in my culture, this is common. Always you hear the older said, أنا ما أريد أي شيء من عيالي. I don't want anything from my kids. I don't want anything from my kids. So all your life growing up, I don't want anything from you. I don't want anything from you. So خلاص, when you grow up, you don't need anything. He doesn't need anything. He just leave you alone. And may Allah never make us in need of anything. But when you keep saying, I don't know, ya akhi, I need your love, I need your support, inshallah, I don't need any financial help or anything like that, but I need my son to be with me. Some people, I don't know how that works, but for me, it doesn't work at all. Some people just, like some people get sick. I don't want anybody to visit me. Why? Who knows? Maybe that person who visits you, make dua for you, Allah heal you because of that dua. Don't be so sensitive. Just take it easy. And your kids, if you teach them from the beginning, I don't want anything from you. I don't want anything from you. Why? Why we make them raise up like this? Perhaps it's an opportunity for them to give back and to help their children. Make sure that you make, last point I have, make sure you make dua for them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them righteous. Remember, وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. Give us from our children, our family, قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. Cool for our eyes. For you all out there, love your parents. We're so busy growing up. And we often forget that they are growing old as well. If your parents passed away, there is a still chance to do Bir Al Walidayn to them. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, from Bir Al Walidayn after their death, several things. One, to make dua for them, to pray for them. Two, give charity on their behalf. Three, fulfill anything that they have missed from religious duties. Like what? They never made Hajj, they never made Umrah, you do it on their behalf. They made nadr, they made a promise and never fulfill it. They passed away and there were obligatory fasting on them. Okay, they didn't do it. Okay, you do it. Or you feed, basically, if they were ill and they did not feed on behalf of these days, you make sure you do it. Also, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, one of the things as Umar radiallahu anh did to, and Ibn Umar radiallahu anh saw an Arabi, a Bedouin, and he gave him his robe and his turban and a scarf. So they said, do you know this man? He said, yeah, he used to be a very close friend to my father. And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, from Bir Al Walidayn, from being good to your parents after their death, is to be good to their friends, to be good to those who your parents loved. Like for example, my father has his favorite family member is his sister, his younger sister. So I give her my aunt, I give her extra attention just because my father loved her so much. She was the closest one to him. Or for example, he has a good friend or a person that he used to take care of, or a project that he used to care for. I care for it. And I give so much for it. My father cared about this masjid so much. My father passed away. You know what? I fulfill that role and I give to this masjid or to that, project, whatever it is. So this is part of Bir Al Walidayn after the death of the Walid. This relationship continue until we enter Jannah. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather parents and their children. أَلْحَقْنَا بِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّاتِهِمْ وَمَا أَلَتْنَاهُمْ مِنْ عَمَلِهِمْ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We will gather them with their children in جنات النعيم. قال النبي يعني في الحديث يرفع درجة الرجل في الجنة. The person, his level in Jannah will be raised. He said, Ya Rabb, how come I was raised? My deeds didn't take me that high. He said, no, you were raised because of the dua and the istighfar of your son and daughter. وَوَلَدٌ صَالِحٌ يَدْعُو لَهُ. That's why our children is a continued sadaqah for us after our death. And subhanAllah, and your righteous son or daughter, if they die before you, so if you die before them, they are continuous sadaqah for you. But if they die before you, and they die in your time, in your lifetime, they are the heaviest things in your skill on the day of judgment. قال أثقل شيء في ميزان العبد يوم القيامة ولد صالح قبضه الله فصبر والده. يعني صبرت أمه وأبيه عليه. The heaviest things in your skill on the day of judgment, to lose one of your children, and you be patient with that. With this, I come to the conclusion of my talk to you tonight, and I hope that you remember some of these tips and try to apply some of them in your life, and to work in your relationship with your children and with your parents. It goes both ways. And you and your spouse take this as a priority in your life. This is an amanah. Allah will ask us about it. Ask Allah to yu'inana alayha wa yuwaffiqna wa iyyakum li kulli khair. And again, thank you very much for inviting me tonight to this blessed community, blessed masjid. Sallallahu sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
Takbir. 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 Jazakallah khair, Dr. Shaykh Waleed, for your beautiful lecture. We're just going to have a couple minutes, inshallah, for Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, bismillah.
I have a question. I was asked to speak about magic and evil eye and envy. And I changed the subject to this subject. I give 3 choices and I change this. But I promise, Osama, that I will just touch upon it in my talk. I have few points to mention about magics and evil eye and stuff like that. Number 1, many of these things that consider magic or possessions or evil eye or hasad, envy, this is part of the world of the unseen. We don't really understand how fully it's function, okay? And one of the rules that we know in Islam, and it's common sense as well, that we should focus on the world of the seen, not the unseen. I'll tell you, the moment you start talking too much about these concepts, the moment you enter into a dark hole that you cannot get out of it. If your life surrounding around, it's magic, it's evil eye, it is hasad, somebody this, so somebody did this to me, somebody did that to me, okay? Sometimes we fool ourselves and we don't want to face our problems, so we put these as kind of, an excuses or reasons. We know that we cannot deal with it. I would never be able to know if your sickness is a result of evil eye or not. Nobody ever can make that claim. Nobody ever can make that claim that your marriage is destroyed because evil eye or not. You can say as much as you want. There's no any way I can say for a fact that this is the reason. But can I say for a fact that the reason is your bad choice? Yes. I can make sure that you have an anger problem? Yes. You have a temper problem? Yes. I wish I can do that. I'll show you a text message from a sister. Send me that big of text message, okay? And she was talking to me how important that she meets me when I go back to Houston because her husband is possessed with jinn or magic or whatever. I said, okay. And I was reading in the beginning. Then she said, do you believe, Sheikh, that he beats me? He says this to me. He this. I said, what should we do to get that evil out of our house? I said, divorce him. The way to get that evil out of your house is to divorce this guy. That's the evil. A guy who's abused you and beat you up and that's a domestic violence. It's not jinn. That's humans. I'm not denying that there is evil eye and there is hasad and there is, but these things, their influence is much, much less than the influence of your nafs, the influence of your bad habits, the influence of your, may Allah protect us. It's amazing. Sometimes I tell people, actually the only way to protect yourself from all these things are the following. You pray, you read Quran, you pray to Allah for protection, you do the morning and the night adhkar, which is every Muslim should say anyway. There is nothing else extra you need to do. So what's the point? The point is, be good Muslim, be a person who cares for his salah, for her adhkar, for her dua, and that's the protection that you need, and that's the solution that you have. But in the same time, I found that a lot of people believe in the power of jinn more than the power of adhkar, the power of hasad more than the power of the Quran, the power of jinn more than the power of Allah, astaghfirullah. And that's really a problematic. I told him, okay, read Ayatul Kursi, read it. It's not working. Yeah, because you're already convinced it was not working. It's not empowering you. It's very rare when there is cases that is really complicated and considered part of that world of jinn, whatever. It's 1 in a million case, 1 in 100, in hundreds of thousands, It's not the norm. It's something that I hate to see the community kind of putting themselves into that direction, because I have seen in my life, those who always focus on this, they miss the real reasons behind the problem. Your real problem in marriage is not the evil eye. It is, that you guys don't know how to communicate with each other. That there is you have an anger problem. You need to go to marriage counselor. You don't need Raqi. Or you need a good lawyer. It depends in the case. I'm not saying, you make a ruqyah to yourself. That's number one. Number two, I want to make sure that you understand this clearly. Anyone who claimed that he gives ruqyah and read and stuff like that, and he start giving you all these details, you need to know that those people are not legit. I'm going to use the most lenient words. Anyone start telling you, oh, this is like black magic. Yeah, black. Why everything has to be black? Every bad thing has to be black magic. This is like, what? Why it's not white magic? Why it's not red magic? Why it's not yellow magic? Okay. Anyway, then he said to you, oh, this is a jinn who's ulwi, sufli, your magic in your stomach, in your heart, in your madri. What? How do you know? يعني the jinn is your cousin? Or you dealing with the magician? How do you know? Oh, I read the jinn spoke to me. How do you know this is a jinn? I had a case of a young girl. Her mother, she was convinced 100% that her daughter is possessed with jinn. She's from Morocco. So I said, let me talk to your daughter. So I went to her daughter, I talked to her daughter, and her daughter, how do you know? She speaks tongues, she speaks with tongues, with languages. Her daughter starts talking to me. First of all, a voice, very weird, like a manly voice. Talking to her, screaming, and her eyes roll. It's really scary, like, you know, these things that you may be watching some of these horror movies, you know. I like doing like this and jumping and... But I have a little bit of experience on these things, and I didn't buy it. So, and she starts speaking in a very weird language, like, like, I don't know how it was, and acting as if this jinni came from space or something like that. Anyway, so I told the mother, can you stand up on that over there? The mother stood up there. Then I came to the girl and said, hey, girl, her name is Maryam. I said, Maryam, you can fool someone else. What's going on? Your mother can't hear you right now. Just tell me, what's the problem? She looked and she's like, then she said, Sheikh, I have a boyfriend and she's very angry at me. I made this up just because I know my mother believe in this stuff. So I made this up because I have a boyfriend and I know I'm Muslim. I'm not supposed to have a boyfriend who's not Muslims and like stuff like that. Then we just had a nice conversation after that. Wallah. And the problem is not the girl. The problem is not the mother. The mother is miskina. You know what the problem is? The problem that been going to Iraqi for about months, and this Raqi been giving ruqya and told her what kind of jinn and what kind of sihr and all this, and taking money sometimes from them, and this dajjal wa sha'wada. Also, it could be bid'ah, like some Raqi tell you, oh, you have to do this 14 times, type 13, no 14, 7 times. Where do you get that from? Sunnah didn't tell us to do all this. They put all these rules and all these things. It's not from the Sunnah. Sheikh, I tried. I put a Himalayan pink salt on the windows. I'm still who told you the Himalayan pink salt will stop the, jinn from entering the house? So sometimes these things, I'm worried that also we enter the issue of bid'ah fi deen. And like I know one person, whatever Sheikh told him, you have to read Surah Al-Baqarah every 3 days. Ya akhi, Nabi Sallallahu didn't read Surah Al-Baqarah every 3 days. He never asked anyone to read Surah Al-Baqarah every 3 days. He said, if you read it, the shaitan will not come for 3 days. You don't want the shaitan to come to your house? I have easier than reading Surah Al-Baqarah. What? Say Bismillah before you enter and close the door. Shaitan will not enter the house. If you want to free yourself from your house from the shaitan. What I'm trying to say, I feel sometimes there is too much exaggeration in this area and too much bid'ah also in this area. And the best way to protect yourself from the shayateen and jinn is dhikrullah azza wa jal, to be consistent in your dhikr, to be consistent in your dua, to be consistent in your salah. And I do believe, I have seen with my own eyes and I heard with my own ear cases that is nothing but the influence of jinn and possession of human beings. I have had 100% confirmation of these cases, not a speculation. And there's not the place for it. So I have seen that. But what? One in hundreds of thousands? Very, very rare and very, very different circumstances. Inshallah, never cross that road together. Because this jinn have their own world and we have our own world. We don't cross line. Very rare to happen. When it happens, what you need to know, what you need to do, you always make your adhkar, you always make the morning and night dhikr. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us min sharr al-jinn wal shayateen كل خبيث. اللهم آمين.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. So you said when the parent passes away, the child can still have continuous deeds towards the parents. Now you said dua, you said hajj, you said donations.
Being good to the people who they were
Yes,
good to.
but how about reading Quran? Can you gift them that or no?
Never in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ he mentioned anything about gifting the Quran, recitation of the Quran, nor been recorded that any one of the companions did that. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah said, never heard for more than 500 years that ever recorded that any of the Muslims used to do such thing. They read Quran and they give the gift of the reward of the Quran to the deceased. So no, I wouldn't do that because it's not part of the thing that the Prophet told us to do.
Assalamu alaikum. I apologize for my tardiness, but from what I have gained from what you have talked about so far, we live in a country where we are trying to find a hybrid between what our deen has commanded upon us, while still integrating in a country where a lot of what we see and what they do is contradicting that. So what are your suggestions for a child or even teen or adult to be able to have that sort of a fierce conversation or open up that communication between a parent and an adult so you can both understand perspectives that may contradict and better or reason between this so there is a stronger relationship between parent and child. So you're not, 21, 22, 23 years old later, you've bottled up these conversations, and now you have your own independent thinking, and now you're far away from the family, so you're making your choices. Sometimes it's easy for a shaitan to just influence those choices, and you're like, oh, I'm in America, this is how I'm going to run my show, what do I do? And then in addition to that, do you have resources available to assist with these things?
Very well said. I consider it's more a comment, but it's a very good point. It's important to start early. You can't just wait until, they are in their 20s and their 30s and you start saying, oh, my kid's not listening to me. It's not like doing this. You have to start early. You have to talk to them when they are very young in age, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you keep going. You keep putting these plans. And I agree with everything you said, but just maybe I will comment on the issue. I don't believe that the society that we're living in contradict everything we have in our religion. I think there's a lot of things here in our culture in America go alongside with what we believe as Muslims. As a matter of fact, if you look at our neighbors and a lot of non-Muslims, they have a better line of communication with the children than some of us. Some, talking to them, listening to them, and putting the seeds and values in their heart and their mind as they grow young. But if they grow old and they make choices that you not agree with it, you have to also learn how to respect your children's choices. Even if you disagree with them, I would say even if these choices Islamically not correct. Like I give you many examples happen where children choose to leave Islam, unfortunately. And a father brought his daughter who is like a prosecutor in LA counties or something like that. Like, she's very well respected in her career, but she left Islam. Oh my God, her father brought her to me in the masjid, and she was not convinced to talk to a sheikh. She never cared. And I know the father very well, and the father is so hurt by that because he used to bring her when she was a child, but there is a period of his life where he was not proud of with his ex. And his daughter left Islam because the way he treated his ex, who was not a Muslim, who left Islam, then she took the kids' custody and she raised them a non-Muslim. Not only that, she hates Islam. But one of the things that I have seen in this case and many other cases, that I tell the parents, your children at this point, at this breaking point, they have to understand what hurts them the most, that they see the only thing that you care about is the religion. They don't feel that you care about them as human beings, as your own daughter, as your own son. So in another word, if your son, don't go to that extreme of leaving Islam, even if your son or something very haram, he's still your son, he's still your daughter. You still show that natural love. Like, you cannot transfer the whole entire conversation only about religion. There is other area as well, connect us together. This is my son, this is my daughter. We can have another, because sometimes if you only speak about religion, they hate it, khalas, I don't want to listen to it. And you will push them away farther. You're not bringing them closer. You have to be very smart. In order for you to have influence over people, people have to trust you, love you. And unfortunately, if over the years, like we grow apart and influenced by so many things outside, you lost that advantage of the trust and love and all this thing. So you need to gradually gain it again. And after that, you will see that this connection happen. But please, this is serious, because it hurts, because I only saw this pushing kids away from their parents. Especially if the parents start practicing later in their age or later in their life. So make sure that even if you lost them as righteous son, don't lose them as a son. Don't lose her as a daughter. Yes.
Any sisters have questions? Sisters? No?
Okay.
Any more questions? Okay.
Thank you very much,
Jazakallah.
and inshallah I will see you when I see you.
Inshallah, there is refreshments in the gym, and also picking up your children from babysitting, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.